No, it's not. Cut.
So Stephen wanted to see somebody taking pictures of the tripod as it rises up. And eventually, when that person who's filming gets zapped by the tripod, his camera falls to the ground, and we end the shot by dollying down to look through the little screen on the camcorder. So that became a very important prop as well, and worked really well. And of course, because we have a working camcorder, the stuntman who's holding it when he gets zapped can't just let go of it and expect it to work again. So they had put it on a wire and on a little decelerator, so it would look like it was dropping for real, but just prevented it from smashing into bits.
An oxygen.
Camera. If you could land there, to anticipate. Okay. Land right in front of his front wheel on the just off the yellow line. Okay.
This movie was very, very different to a lot of the movies I've done in the past. And as we say, you have to think outside the box in this one. This is a totally different approach. You know, you read the script and you go, wow, okay, I'll get jerk wires to fly these people through the air, and we'll have fire here, and I need 30 stuntmen over there to fall in that hole, etc., etc. But when you start analysing the movie in the 72 days, which is an incredibly tight schedule we shot it on, you start analysing the action that's there, and then I meet up with Dennis Murren and all the boys from ILM and talk with Stephen, and you see where the demarcation line is, the dividing line between actual stunt work and ILM stunt work. The centre of the intersection on a cue will sort of rise up and then collapse. As it collapses on that cue, you throw to the ropes and proceed to come down.
I go so far back with Vic, on Raiders of the Lost Ark. And in those days, Vic was a good stuntman. He wasn't a coordinator, he was a stuntman. And I realized that Vic had great ideas, even where to put the camera, where stunts are concerned. And I began using Vic more and more as a stunt coordinator. And now we're reunited on War of the Worlds. We haven't worked together in a while, due mainly to his unavailability, because he's such a popular stunt coordinator. We've not been able to get our dates right where he's been available for my films over the last 12 years. But we finally got it right this time, and I just love working with him again.
What windows break over here, Dan?
I originally thought we were going to build the intersection. When I read the script, I saw the intersection as a great big build. We'd build this big practical intersection and rip all these big buildings apart and do all this real fun stuff. And, we just couldn't do that time-wise, so we ended up doing pieces of buildings and, letting all the digital people fill in all the parts. So we broke all the buildings that were at the first floor level, and we did all the stuff on the ground, moved all the cars on the ground. And because we weren't allowed to dig up the asphalt, we couldn't, break the sidewalk. We built something that planted on top of the existing terrain, and then we could move it, shake it, and with the camera down low looking up, it appeared as though all that stuff was doing it. And then in the background, we were blowing up, pieces of dirt and asphalt and stuff, so it would look like the concrete is ripping, and it looked like a big crack forming all around the intersection. As that came around, then we would start breaking all the glass in the building front.
On this picture, we were doing turnovers every week, so I would shoot the plates or the scenes, cut it all together, bring in ILM, and then turn it over to them. And they were saying that they had never had a director or any production turn over finished, fine cut sequences this early in the process.
This is the green screen. This is the green screen. This we shot before lunch.
I said, well, thanks for the compliment, but you gave me no choice. I've seen your schedule of effects photography, and unless you guys want to work 24 hours a day, I have to work this fast in order to get all the stuff out to your workshops.
So what we had to do is kind of pair two visual effects supervisors, Dennis Murren and myself, to complete the work. So we got together with Stephen and we decided that we were going to split the principal photography schedule. So when Dennis was on the set, I was over here at ILM working with the crew, and when I was on the set, then Dennis was going to be at ILM.
So all the time that we were on location shooting, we were getting video back and forth all the time to be able to see how things are going in California, comparing them to where we were shooting mostly on the East Coast. And that kept the process going rapidly and sort of saved us weeks and weeks of time to parallel the action on both coasts and get things directly approved by Stephen.
You feel that? Feel that? Yeah, I feel that. What is it, the subway?
There's no subway here. Path train, maybe?
That can't be the water main.
There's nothing else down there.
The water main doesn't run through here.
Well, there's something down there, and it's moving.
Well, the intersection sequence is the first time that you actually see any sign that the world is going a little wacky. The idea is that it's a five-way intersection. It's all open in the middle, and it's got a church on one side and regular buildings around it. But suddenly it begins to sort of rotate from one curb to another, about 150 feet wide. This whole asphalt tears and begins to rotate by itself. And it's like, what is going on? People are running crazy away from it, saying, what the heck's happening? And even buildings that are next to it, if the ground below tears in the middle of the building, then half the building swings away from the other half. And then the ground eventually underneath it collapses, and up through it rises one of the tripods, the alien tripods that have been buried under the earth for thousands and thousands of years. And that sequence for us has meant that we've had to, think of anything we could possibly do to be able to bring all the different ideas to bear. And then on top of that, it all has to look real.
This first shot you see here is where Tom Cruise is sort of jumping over a crack as the turntable has begun. The ground has begun to turn, and you'll see cones and little markers on the ground which represent where the crack is going to be. This next shot is trying to choreograph the rate at which the crack moves and determine where in space it should be to make it work with the way Tom's running through the shot. Next, we're adding the cracking ground where the pieces are actually flipping up. You'll notice that in this shot, since it's one of our first takes, the lighting really isn't changing as the cracks come up and get different reflections from the environment. And here we have the final version of the crack, and you'll notice that we've added in tons of debris, practical elements of dust coming up, and actually making the height of the crack that Tom's jumping over pretty substantial to motivate what Tom is doing. You can see also that when the cracks flip up, you can see the light changing on the cracks as the ground deforms and changes shape.
All our extras fall down when the whole thing sinks. Everybody falls, including Ray. And then Ray gets up and everybody kind of like gathers where they were before. Right.
Stephen wanted to create a very compelling image when we first see the war machines, and he wanted to establish right away that these guys were mean business. It's deadly serious. And right away, when you see them, it's no nonsense.